I do.
Thanks for everybody for being here. Always good to see the left. Mr. Foreman is here, good, how are you? We'll start with the call to order done. Public comment, anybody has public comment? Go ahead.
I want to thank the fire department for sharing their container with syrup and prep. It's really a great thing to have a container to put some of our things in, and we really do appreciate it. And thanks for thinking of it.
Yeah, I haven't been out there, so have you guys started using it?
Yeah.
And how about Henry?
He hasn't yet, but he will. He's
Okay.
been kind of, well, he was gone and he's been sort of tied up, so,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, anything that we can do, because I do consider you an extension of our services, because you'll be helping us during disasters. So having those types of things on site is important for me as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Anybody else, public comment? Mr. Foreman, go ahead.
Yeah, Commissioner, just a reminder of the Remembrance Day service on Friday. The notice went out on point interface, but didn't make it to the all points bulletin in spite of 3 requests. So hopefully we'll get a good turnout like we have the past 2 years.
Maybe the old points bulletin can send out an e-point, electronic message
It's in tomorrow, so I'm just trying to get everybody down at once.
tomorrow?
The E.
E-bulletin.
Thursday, right? Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, approval of the minutes of October 12th. No, any comments?
I have no comments.
What do you?
No.
No?
I make a motion for approval of the minutes for October 12th.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next set of minutes, November 4th, last week.
I just barely got through them, but I think they're okay.
7?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, motion passed too. Thank you. Financial managers report, go ahead.
Okay, financial report for November 9th, 2016. The November warrants total $39,319.76. The total for payroll is $17,140.50, including Chief Carlton's salary of $4,212.50, and Assistant Chief Shields pay of $2,750. There was one event for the commissioners and secretary. The total payout for volunteers, warrants included, was $15,042. And your October financial statements are in your meeting books. We're looking for a motion today to approve the warrants and payroll for November as presented.
Thank you, Betty. Stan, any comments, any questions?
Well,
We approve
I noticed that the credit card is up at $9,000. Clarify anything over 2?
Yeah, I need the list. I don't have that in front of me. Can I use yours, Patty? Can I use? No, can you just use the report?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so know that I pay for a lot of things just through the credit card itself. So MES, that's an SCBA bottle to go along with the SCBAs that we're getting replaced. It's a RIT bottle, so Rapid Intervention Team bottle, that goes in a specific pack. So that was something I purchased on our own. Emergency Services Institute, Allen and Curtis and Sons is the bunker gear, so that's coming out of the capital reserve. And Discount Tire, I needed new tires on Chief 58, so that's what I got. And DeWard Bodie was the appliances for their renovation out here on the kitchen.
Chief, one question, is there a refrigerator included, is that there already?
Yeah, the refrigerator's in, everything's in.
Okay.
Is the dishwasher in?
Tomorrow, Friday.
So dishwasher's going in as well.
Okay, I'm asking that because Henry Rosenthal is coming tomorrow to drop off some stuff for the Remembrance Day.
Okay,
So I'll probably have to go to the fridge.
sure.
No
You
problem.
should be able to use that, it's plugged in.
Okay.
And I invite you guys to take a look at the area after the meeting.
Must be ready to go.
Pretty much, hopefully it'll be completed by Friday. We're waiting on the sink faucets, which have been a little bit of an issue, I guess, getting them. So hopefully they'll come in tomorrow or early on Friday. Well, Friday it starts at 10:30, so we won't be able to have them in. So hopefully tomorrow they come in, otherwise we'll be sinkless in there for running water purposes, but we can go to places in the station if necessary.
Okay, while I'm thinking of it, Ricardo, when would you like to have the ladies in the morning here for sandwiches?
9:30, was the note I sent out, I heard back from all of them,
Okay,
said they were gonna be here.
okay. I take it your wife is coming?
Gina will be here, yes.
Okay, yeah, my wife is coming too. Good. Yeah, how about your wife, is she coming?
She is, she's counting on coming.
Okay.
She has to, well, it'll be over, I think she has something at 1 o'clock anyhow. She is coming, yes.
Okay, good. Back to the financial report here. Any other questions?
Well, the credit card,
Yeah, I have to go get that, Commissioner.
it just seems high, and it's good here.
I have a question too. It says here on the first paragraph, there were 2 events.
Yes,
Commissioners.
I believe that.
So it is
I
two?
know It is one.
It's one.
It's one, yes, that should have been
Okay.
updated. I saw a couple after I had sent
No
that.
worries.
Chief Shields, maybe you can answer this. The Captain Dodd is the winner of this month's payroll, right?
The winner of this month's payroll? Yeah, because he got his I-10, so he's basically, we're going for the last 10 months.
Oh, you got that, okay.
Yeah,
Really?
so he's getting paid out for 2016 up till the end of October, from January 1 till October 31.
Okay.
Good question, I saw that.
So is this different than the one that's in the book? No, right? No, it's fine.
Because I haven't seen it since 2000.
There you go. Would you call that an I-110 or an I-10? What did you call that, Captain?
I-10, I-T-I-N, basically international individual tax ID number.
Ah,
Mine was broken.
entitling him to back pay to January.
Yep.
Thank you.
So the board voted was part of that $9,000.
And so were the tires.
So were the tires. So those should have been underneath, yeah, they were underneath the credit card account. So there's nothing else over $1,000 in that.
So it was $9,000, the tires were one, the warden body was three, so you're basically just looking at a $5,000 difference.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of, there's 500, 600s, life and safety, medical supplies, housing structure and instruction, some repairs for other vehicles, enterprise rent a car to go to Idaho, Bay City Supply for station supplies, payment to Northern Lights for $50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that this one?
Okay, any more questions?
Alert call, physio control was $657. That was for PDF pulse oximeter probes. And I get 10 of those for $657.
What a deal.
Yeah.
Did you try the dollar store?
Yeah. It'd be great if I could purchase that equipment.
The
there,
dollar
but,
medical supply.
they don't have the electronics necessary inside their pulse oximeter. Yeah. So the big ones were the word voting and the discount tire, everything else was under.
So they're included,
They're part of that.
They're part of it.
expense, yeah, for the $9,124.
okay.
Okay, can I have a couple of motions then?
Well, and I'd make a motion, hey Shannon, did you have any?
No.
Okay. I'd make a motion then to approve the warrants at $39,319.76. That's one motion, and then next motion would be to approve the payroll at $17,140.50. Two motions, looking for 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Both passed. Thank
Would you like a copy of the credit card statement from now on?
No.
When it totals, I just think when it totals like over $3,000 or something, you know, it was already broken out, but I didn't realize it was broken out, so.
Yeah, I'm fine with putting that into your packets if you would, if I have it available prior to giving you your packets. Otherwise, I can bring it here so you guys can just glance.
Well,
at it.
it's prudent that we look at it.
So, that's fine.
All right, you know, there were a bunch of items included in the 9,000, that's why I'm confused a bit.
It just confusing.
Yeah. Okay, don't do it on my behalf, please.
No,
But Stan wants one?
No, it's not necessary. We can answer it in the meeting, but if a credit card bill gets up to $3,000, $4,000, you know I'm gonna ask.
I actually like to try to pay everything I can on it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because they get immediate payment now versus waiting, 3-4 weeks out. for a check.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah, we
Gotta
can.
keep the vendors happy.
Okay, Patty, budget update?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay. 2016 budget remaining as of October 31st is 25.27% remaining in the budget, with 2 months to go.
So we will be staying ahead as we did last month. Oh, I know. Good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. Correspondence, Chief.
No correspondence, but I guess I had some odds and ends, but nothing significant on correspondence. It was just emails for the haunted house and thank yous and things like that.
Okay.
We assume that any correspondence that needs a reply, you take care of that.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's anything that significant, I will let you know.
Okay. I just want to make sure that if somebody sends an email with a problem or something,
Yeah.
a reply goes out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I normally contact them directly by phone if somebody has a specific question versus email.
Okay, thanks. Chief's report. Go ahead, Chief.
So, Chief's report for November 16 for October 16. Point of information, basically the same stuff I've had down. Homeowners should call their insurance company for the ISO change. Home addressing is becoming very, very important here on Point Roberts. And I'm looking into possible grants to get vertical stakes that would have numbers on them that would be out towards the road versus on the houses, and see if we can't do a majority of the community here. Haunted house in October was a success. We had between 50 and 75 kids come through and had a lot of sugar go out the door with the children and with the adults. The adults were eating their fair share of sugar. And again, just to remind you, the AFG grant cycle is open. It's closing on the 18th. I'm midway through the AFG grant applications, and I'm putting a grant in for an apparatus, a truck and engine. 5Pack15 grant, which is a regional grant, and then I have to choose between the training tower and the Lucas device. And again, the Lucas device is the automated CPR device that does chest compressions for you when we don't have enough personnel on scene. So I have to do some more contemplating on that. Engine 58 and Engine 5802 both have asterisks by them because they both went in for repair, and we found problems with both. Engine 58 has a primer switch. What was the other thing on it?
Foam tank.
And the foam tank is leaking on Engine 58, so that's going to be around $5,000 for repair. And then Engine 5802 is the large repair. They found a crack in the bottom of the tank, and that tank again is right around 25 years old, moving into 26 years old, and just over time, I believe it's worn out. They do not recommend patching it, and we were able to get some estimates for another poly tank for replacement, and those estimates range from anywhere from $22,000 to $25,000 to replace the 2,000-gallon poly tank that's currently there. Battalion 58, I don't have a report. No other vehicle had anything happen to it. Actually, 858, that's this month though, so I'll put that on next month's report. Had a fuel leak, we had to take that down and get the fuel leak repaired.
Which one was that?
858, the red ambulance, but that'll be in the next month's report. Member roster, 47 members, 27 Canadian, 11 Point Roberts, 9 county. 6 paramedics, 15 EMTs, 7 advanced EMTs. 3 ambassadors, 37 firefighters among those 47 members. Volunteer hours, 2,744. Volunteer payroll, if all were being paid, 15,418. Payroll this month was $3,000 bigger because we had a volunteer turn in the paperwork so they could get paid out their stipends for the year. So they got, one of the volunteers was paid out $3,000 for their stipends. So that raised it up beyond where it normally runs. Chief hours, I worked 153, chief fields 154.5, total 307.5. We had a total of 16 calls in the month of October, 10 EMS calls, We transported 3 patients to St. Joseph's, 5 no transports, and we transported 2 patients to Ferndale Medic 45. No public service. We assisted law enforcement on 1 call. We had 5 fire classifications, 1 outdoor burn, which was permitted. We had 0 illegal fires, and 2 false alarms, 1 power lines down, and 1 structure reported. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. All right, let's go to unfinished business.
Can I have 2 questions?
Yeah.
On the poly tank, are we gonna talk about that?
I'll bring it up over here.
Okay.
But,
And then, on a member roster, did anybody get their certification? I think we were waiting for someone to get certification.
yeah, so my firefighters bumped up a little bit because I have 2 members now, both Andrew Boardville and Christina Tresakin passed their basic firefighter exams, and for firefighter 1, firefighter 2. And one of my advanced EMTs, I'm trying to think who my advanced, Christina Steinberger became an advanced EMT, and then we had Brad Lutz become an EMT as well. So both of them, I changed the rosters for that purpose. Yeah, and 11 Point Roberts people include myself and my wife, Pamela, because she's an ambassador for the organization. So everybody, regardless of their status, is
And
included.
Andrews, what's his last name?
Boardville, Bordeville.
So they went from they got their firefighter 1 and 2 certification.
Yeah,
And Lutz, what did he get?
Brad Lutz got his EMT,
EMT.
state of Washington,
Thank you.
and Christy Steinberger got her
AEMT.
advanced EMT.
What was your number for Point Roberts volunteers? 11?
We have 11 volunteers on Point Roberts currently, but that's not all firefighter personnel. So that includes Margaret Knowles as an
Just the
ambassador,
ambassadors.
my wife as an ambassador, so, and then Deb Shields is also still part of the organization, but not here very often, so she's included in that too.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the 2017 operational budget and see if we can pass.
You turn off the front lights.
Commissioners, would you mind if I went up now and took a picture of it with the lights out so that I can see better when I'm working on it back here?
I don't have a problem with that, that's fine.
Why don't we just give you a copy?
Yeah, we can do that too, because I have
Yeah,
copies for
you've
the
got a
public.
hard copy that you purchased, so you supposed to.
Yeah, I have copies for the
That
public.
way, so I can see that.
Okay. All right, please.
No, thanks.
So it's this chart, I'm sorry, I can't expand it out because it's losing the numbers. So hopefully the public will be able to see this and enlarge it. But this is corresponding to the last meeting that we had. You're seeing it. The thing that we removed due to our budget workshop was the $3,000 up above. Was the $3,000 up above there because it was not a guaranteed amount. So we decided to remove that from the calculation of budgetary purposes. It is expressed down here in this box here, so it's subject to change and it'll be just in addition to. So if we take a 0%, the 2016 levy was $552,000, bring that across. The income that we are calculating in additional income was the $20,700. So it gives us a total operating budget of $573,456. My divisional comes to $573,694, which actually gives us a deficit of $237 if a 0% is taken. So I would have to recalculate a few of my line items. The 1%, you follow that across, the 1% equates into, it's actually 0.845, and it equates into about $4,600. Bring that across, include the revenue that we're counting, the 20,700. Gives a projected funding of $578,000. My budget stays the same. Would give us a surplus at the end of the year if the entire budget was utilized for operational expenses of $4,400 to go into capital reserve. If we take a 2%, that is calculated at a hard 2%. That is not a 1.9, that's a true 2%. Gives us $11,055. Bring that all the way across with the same exceptions. Gives us an operating funding budget of $584,000. My budget stayed the same at $573,000. Surplus would be $10,008 at the end of the year. If we take the max that we have in the lawfully 1% that we can take and the basic 1.5% that we still have banked from previous years, it would be $13,900 in extra funds. Bring that across with all the same numbers. Give me an operational funding budget of $587,000. My divisional expenses still stay the same at $573,000. Gives us in reserve capacity if the entire budget was spent of $13,704. So the maximum amount that we can take is the $13,942.04. That includes everything we have in reserve plus the 1% we're legally able to take by law. Also in the last meeting, I was asked to place some possibilities or the projections that I foresee in capital expenditure in 2017. During my chief's report, I mentioned engine 5802 and engine 58, and with those, the water tank, the 2,000-gallon tank that we have on engine 5802, needs to be replaced, and we're looking at about $25,000, and most likely we'll get that done in 2016. So that would be capital funds used in this year. Engine 58 is around $5,000. That would also be done in 2016. The upstairs reno that we've been talking about, I project about $18,000 to redo the kitchen and possibly some work on the bathroom up there and probably replacing the flooring. 858 computer is around $3,000. That computer is for our personnel to be more efficient because right now they have to wait until they get back to Point Roberts to start working on their medical report for that patient transport. This would allow them to have their reports done by the time they get back to Point Roberts, allowing them to go home if they came in as a volunteer or do more appropriate work for the district. The Wildland ATV we've mentioned, it's a 6-by. It would have the same capacity as a Battalion 58, roughly 100 gallons of water on it with foam capability. And we're projecting around $25,000, between $20,000 and $25,000 for that. The interior painting we've also discussed in previous meetings. That would be the entire interior of the hall, both upstairs and down, and looking at appropriately about $15,000 to do that. The outside of the building was $19,000, so I'm projecting
19.6.
Yeah, 19.6. So I'm projecting a little bit less than that for the interior painting, just because the scaffolding is not necessary or things like that. Long sticks can reach this, depending on what we want to do with the ceiling. So 15,000, maybe a little bit more than that, but I'll be holding that hopefully underneath 20 for the bidding level. So that's a snapshot of what we discussed and the finalization for this meeting. And the commissioners will need to decide what, if any, levy increase they would like to take. And I would like to have a discussion over that. Would you like me to put the resolutions up here?
No,
No.
Chief, why don't we have time enough, the commissioners have time enough to look at the resolutions.
Okay.
We understand now fully, I think, what's going on. Understand, you have no problem.
I've got no problem.
What do you, Shannon?
no, I just have a couple of questions.
I have no questions about it. We simply now have to decide if we're going for a 0% increase, a 1%, a 2 or 2.5%. If we go with a 2.5% increase, then we are completely up to date. We don't have anything pesky anymore. But leave it up to,
Shannon, you had a question?
That's my
Shannon.
questions. So the 3,000 that you took out of the chart was
Yeah.
also taken out, not only because it wasn't a guaranteed amount, but none of the other taxing districts in Point Roberts calculate that on a yearly basis when they're doing their budget, so I just wanted to clarify that. You were gonna talk to insurance about the tank?
Yeah, and I have not heard back on that. They're submitting it,
Okay,
but usually it's,
since it's
insurance.
25 years old.
this is a most likely a wear and tear
Yeah.
issue.
Okay.
Versus,
don't.
they asked me when I called,
Okay.
I just want.
yeah, they asked me when I called if we had hit something or something had happened, and I said no. It's most likely an age issue.
Okay. And then the Wildland ATV, that would be a new vehicle, not a used one?
That would be correct.
Okay, and then Stan had brought up the roof, and that's not listed on here?
Yeah, and I was talking to Chief Shields today about that, and we're projecting, unless Stan, you know difference, that roof may be 15, 20 years old.
That'd be
That's-
my
It would be
guess.
over this part of the building. This is
It's
only part of
only
the
this half of the building.
Yeah.
We already did the other half.
So I don't know what the roof at the time was projected to be lifespan for.
Well, it's just asphalt, right?
So they're
Well, it's
usually
fiberglass.
25 years.
It's fiberglass roofing.
Okay.
So is that usually a 25-year or?
Well,
About 15 to 25, and if you're lucky, you get 25, if you're not lucky, you get 10.
So yeah, we haven't had any leak problems. The one we had was right here by the door. We had a downpour, and it actually came in the crawl space into the office, and it was like, I guess, ruining down the door on the inside, which rain's not supposed to do that on the inside of your house. But it was running down the inside of the door when our firefighters were here. They didn't tell me until the next day about it. And we came in, took some pictures, got up into the crawl space, took some pictures where it was wet. The adjusters came out, looked at it, and we were turned down on that claim as well to repair the valley up there because they said it was probably an issue with the installment of the roof and how it was installed in that area versus, again, no tree limb fell on it, caused a puncture, anything like that.
so as far as the roof's concerned, it's not something that has to be done tomorrow. I just think that we should be thinking about it next year, next summer. And I think we should have, of course, a bid from the same people, Mount Baker Roofing, who did the new work so that they could duplicate.
Yeah, if I remember, that was about $12,000, if I remember correctly. over
No,
there.
it was more than that. It was 17, I think.
Okay. So we're looking at probably an equally expansive area.
No, it's far less.
A little less.
Well, we have to do ambulance bay this way.
No, from the center ridge line
I know, but
of
that's
the
all right.
ambulance bay this way.
Right,
Everything else has been done. You just take a line right through the building.
right.
So they don't have any second story work they have to do. Everything's first floor. No, it'll be less.
Okay, so if you're interested in that, then come mid-year, probably starting in the second quarter, we'll get a bid that will hold for 90 days, 120 days, whatever, for them to come out, and if we choose to move forward, so that would be in addition to the projected capital expenses.
And I have no idea what type of shingle we used when we repaired it. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll have the records on that, so.
Right. We want to make sure we get out what's called a 30-year or better.
Yeah, we'll be on that.
Same labor, so you might as well get a good roof. The last person to look at this was in 2009, and it was Chris Kelly. He looked at it, and I can't recall his opinion on it. He said it was in good shape. However, you look at it from the parking lot, you can see it's starting to lose some character.
Sure.
To, you know, and
So
it-
we stand by getting old too.
yeah.
I think you're over 15 or 20 also.
We'll never see that 30 years out.
No, but the community will, you know, that 30-year roof, it's the same labor to put up a 30-year as a 15-year, and we're not saving any money by putting up a 15-year.
Sure.
It's more expensive in the long run.
Well, if that's appropriate to the commissioners, starting.
It's just something to put on the list. So
Second
we're
quarter.
doing this levy options tonight, we're not approving these capital expenditures.
Well, that's the idea, that's something for us to keep in mind so that we can talk about that next year.
Sorry, Shannon, I
That's
interrupted
okay.
your questions.
So then I have other questions. about the percentages. So when you're looking at the 1%, we're looking at 8.84574, which equates to about $4,600. So can we figure out approximately about per $100,000 what that means for a taxpayer? How much are they going to be paying to get us that amount of money, approximately? Anybody have an idea?
Yeah, I used to know that, so let me think about it.
No idea?
Well, we need the assessed valuation for the whole point. I don't have
So the
that.
assessed value for the whole point is, you didn't get that from Keith when you talked to him last month, Meg?
Oh, it's online, I just don't have it.
It is about $20, $25 a year.
I have the amount, the difference between 2015 and this year, 2016, when you took 2%,
So what's that difference, Patty?
and it was about $16.03 a year.
At 2%.
At 2%, that was based on a home valuation, I just did
Can you do that
$350,000.
number again?
Yeah, it was about a $16 increase per year.
And that was at 2%.
That was at 2%, that was last year.
Okay.
That was the difference between 2015 and 2016, which equates to basically $1.34 a month.
So then, when I talked to Janice Judge at the assessor's office, she said, and confirmed what Willenauer had said, that the district value is going down, Point Roberts taxation is going down this year because values are going down. So 2016 was 586.18, and they're getting close. They have some numbers that they don't have from the state. So she gave me the approximate figure for 17 being 576,758. So that's
576 million.
lower than it, so it's lower than it was last year.
And that's the valuation of the point.
Yeah. And so that's going to affect it, but what I want to make sure is that, so for 2%, we're looking at about $16 a year for a $350,000 house. Okay. All right, and then, so at the working meeting, I asked Meg if she had gone to other districts, taxing districts on the point. And so do you know what other districts are doing, Meg? Have all of the other taxing districts taken their 1%?
You're the first budget going down.
Sorry?
As far as I know, you're the first budget going down.
In the past, well, like last year and the year before,
People take the one,
people always take the 1.
pretty much.
Okay. And then I actually called Keith Willenauer because I was a little bothered by your article because it seemed to not really give any information. I can confirm that every district in Point Roberts took their 1% last year, including the cemetery district for the first time in a long time. I also, since I had him on the phone and you hadn't asked him, I asked him if the other fire districts in Whatcom County took their 1%, and he confirmed that all except 7 took their 1% last year, and that they didn't take theirs because you guys are doing an annexation in your tax, so that it's confusing tax stuff, but your tax rate is, your pot is going up because of your quantity and annexation down there. So I asked him other questions about the state and the county and other things like that, and he said that most districts don't take their bank because they don't have any banking capacity, because they take their 1% every year. And so I think that in fairness with the article that came out last month, if that had been included, that would have been informative to the community, but it wasn't included, so I did a little bit of homework on my own and got that information for us. So if nobody has anything else to say, I think we should talk about the percentages and make a decision right away.
Okay. Dan,
Well,
what do you want to do?
I've given some thought to this. The levy says that we're allowed to take it. Our expenses are such that they're constantly going up. It's prudent for us to follow the levy rather than saying we don't have the money. I don't believe in banking at all. I think we should take the entire 2.5% or whatever it is, 2.52%. Let's get current and stay current. That's my feeling.
Okay, Shannon?
Well, I did a little more research and dragged out the 2010 paper when the levy was discussed. And Pat actually he wrote that article and he went through the whole scenarios. So I have all of the information that was presented during that levy. That levy passed by 60%. To me, that is a signal to the commissioners that the community is in support of it, because that was really a high percentage. And if I had been there then, I would not have voted to bank. So I'm not in favor. I'm in favor of getting us caught up, because when I look at these known things that we need to do, I'm very concerned about taking our money that is in reserve and getting too low, because I'm going to give you a little presentation after this. I've gone through about 6 years of newspaper articles, and repeatedly, district after district after district here runs out of money. The water board runs out. They're not a taxing district, but they run out of money. They have a main break. They panic because they don't have the money. The Parks District had to do a bond for money because of this, that, the other thing. They have no security, and that concerns me. I love insurance. I love having money in the bank, and I think that looking at this list, going back to Meg's article from November, it's clear that we have expenses that we need to start looking at seriously, and that we need to start really attacking these things. These things they're not a to-do list for right now, but boy, it's clear they need to be done. So I would vote with Stan about taking the entire unused levy at this point, because we do have need, and that's where we are.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm of the same opinion, so I won't waste any of the time on that. I will vote for that 2.5% and no more banking after that. Now, we all have the resolutions in front of us. This will be, let's pass a motion to accept the resolution. And that would be resolution number 216-003. You find 2 pages. One is the resolution itself that we accept the 2.527% increase. The second page is that this resolution will be attached to the actual budget that we are presenting to Whatcom County this month. Now, if you are all in agreement, all in agreement with this, then let's make a motion that we accept the resolution.
Resolution 3 and 4?
Yeah.
3 and 4.
Would you like me to read the resolution?
No. We've got it to read.
Yeah.
Pretty well worded thing. So I'm happy to make a motion to pass resolution 2016-03 and 04.
Okay.
And taking the 2.52% increase allowed in our levy.
There you go, let's mention that. It's part of the parcel of the resolution. Have a second? Second there, all in favor?
Aye.
All passed. Linda, you got that?
We're working on that now.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the resolution?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any, I'm glad we passed that because now we're clean again for all year. No more questions about this? Now we'll mosey on to new business.
I have a little presentation for you.
Okay.
John, you want to get me hooked up? Or is that good here?
Move over to your left.
I kicked him out.
You kicked him out? Oh, okay.
She's dunking on your bad side.
You
Yes.
like to darken the room a little bit for me? Alrighty. So,
Wow.
you can just sit back, relax,
Some of us.
don't get excited about the detail, because this is not a detailed document. This is really just to give you a look at overall trends of articles that occur in the All Point Bulletin. And what got me going was, if anybody was listening to the budget meeting on Friday, they probably heard my voice get kind of angry, because I kept talking, and like I did just now, about the November 16 article in the All Point Bulletin that said commissioners looking to max out on taxes. There's no mention in that article that that topic was brought up in passing. There's no talking about that, no decision was made. No mention of what this tax revenue would be spent on, which is what both officials told Meg was the purpose of the banking capacity law. And no mention or comparison with what other taxing districts do within Point Roberts or within the county. So I didn't think that that was right. And so I went through a bunch of All Point bulletins. I compared just the general fire district coverage within the All Point Bulletin and other districts here within Point Roberts. So what I did is I did not know when Chief Carlton came to the point. Turns out he started in February of 10, and you were here, or February or March, and then by October you had kind of taken over from the former chief who was going in for training. So I'm calling that, so I went back to 2009, and I call this BC, which is before Carlton. And then we'll go down and we'll look at years which I call AC, which is after Carlton. Okay?
I don't mean to be disrespectful, Shannon, because I know this is aimed a lot at me, but the water district starts, and I need to start walking over there.
Okay, we'll give you a lift, so why don't you wait a second?
My
So
husband's
this
going to
is,
pick me up.
okay, well, Meg, see, I find that funny timing, because you came in late, and now you want to leave, because you got to get to the water district. You don't usually go to the water district meeting, do you?
I go to the water district meeting every month.
Every
Water
month?
district meeting was
Okay, well, let's
rescheduled
just do
yesterday
this
or
real
something.
quick then.
Honey, Shannon, if this is a scold,
It's not a scold. I want
But-
people to understand what's going
and
on.
I'm sure those people will.
Okay,
but
then we'll wait
I'll
till
just-
next month to go over it.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks.
Okay, Shannon, do I take it, we'll table it?
We'll table that till next month.
Next month, okay. Okay, that was my take, what was that?
Okay, can we have a sneak preview of it, or?
Should we get a copy of it?
Can we see a sneak preview, or?
Do you want that? Do you want me to do it now and then?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Like,
Your no, your yes. Yes or no?
Chief, can you hit the light? We'll wait till next
I think
month.
to go over it once is enough. I'd like to have a copy of it to pre-read it. I don't like surprises when I come into these meetings at all.
Well, I have a feeling that Meg would then claim that you and I have
Yeah.
done something improper if I were to send it to you, so I don't
You
feel
can
comfortable
certainly,
with that.
has the chief read this?
I have not, no. No.
Do you want me to do it now or not? I don't feel comfortable presenting it, I don't feel comfortable sending it to you if I don't present it.
I would agree with that
Okay.
for public records.
So why don't I just do it real quick, and then we'll do it, because I do want someone from the All Point Bulletin here, because I really want them to be able to respond and say, I'm not scolding her. I think that having black and white objective data is something versus a scold. It's just, I think that's a juvenile response, but let's just go through this real quick, and then I'll give it to Meg, I'll show it to Meg next month, and she can go through it.
Okay, give us the short version.
I'm giving you the short
Okay,
version.
and then will that be you want to do next one?
So anyway, before Carlton, after Carlton, it's an important time between 2012 and 13, and I do not want to talk about that other than to let the people know who weren't here at that time that that was a period where the former fire chief was relieved of his position and Chief Carlton was hired. So this is a fairly simple spreadsheet. These over here this is time. So I went through all of the 2009 articles. I also went through November 14 to 15 and 15 to 16, and that you'll see that on this column here. These are all the articles written about the water district. These are all the articles written about the hospital district. The Parks District, which does not include any comments about county parks like Lily Point. This is the articles that they wrote about the fire district. Then I have a few comments, and then this is a column about the Friends of the Point Roberts Library, and that is just for reference because it'll just briefly talk about it later on. So, if you could page down a little bit for me. So this is 2009, no Carlton. All these articles are they're informational. They may have things that people don't like to see, or they may have errors, they may have omissions, but pretty much they're on target, they're informational, and people can gather what they need to make an informed decision. So then after 2012, 2013, I initially went back I started just this year in 16 and went back a year. And when I looked at the number of articles, which you'll see here in a second, I was shocked at all of the articles that were written about the fire district, and I was shocked about some of the things that they contained. So I went back another year to see if 15, 16 was an anomaly, or if it was a trend. And I think that you can make that decision yourself. So as you can see, this is the beginning of 15, and you can keep going down. You can keep going down. This is again the fire district. Keep going down. Pause for a second. So now we're into November 15, into this current year. So these are the articles. I did add a couple comments that'll make sense. And then you can start seeing the Friends of the Library. And I'm not making any judgment. I'm just pointing out quantity. So you can go down a little bit further, down, 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 down. All right, there you go. So, news about the fire district. Good news is usually buried. In August of this year, Chief got a SCBA grant of $160,000. That was put on page 19 at the back, at the bottom of the page in the interior fold, so bury the good news. And then when you look at headlines and content, typically about the last 2 years, it's often inflammatory, it often contains errors, omissions. I just explained in 2006, November of this year, if you could go up a little bit, and a little bit further, stop there. So if you look at May and June, we've got the fire at the storage facility, we've got a new commissioner, me, and then we have questions, 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 And then in 2015, in May of 15, we go up, if you could go up, Chief, a little bit further. So I love this. Ask and ye shall receive, and oh boy did he receive. And then we get the picture of the former chief. You can't keep a good man down, of course not. I do want to point out that Judy Ross is a personal friend of Meg Olson, and there's no problem with that, but I'll explain that a little bit later. And also, the one person who complained about the fire at the storage locker was his mother. Kenny Calder's mother is friends with Meg, and that is also important. So, as you can see, the basic coverage for other districts within Point Roberts, and the water district is not a taxing district, but they do provide a public service, and that's why I include them. You can see that basically all other coverage nearly vanishes. So if you could go down real quick again, it's just to show what happens with the number of articles. We're down all the way. Okay, so now why I brought up the Friends of the Library. I don't care which side anybody goes to on that, that's not the point of it. What it is it's preferential treatment. And I want to talk a little bit about the pro-Stan letters that did not get published in last year's election coverage. I was one, my husband and I wrote a letter, that didn't get included. Someone else wrote a letter, that didn't get included. And we were told golly, there wasn't enough room. So, but this year, support of the Friends letters get published. Arthur Reber got talked about in September. He wrote a letter.
I think you mean Dr. Arthur, your PhD.
Yeah. Okay. And then he wrote another letter in October, and then he does another, and so it's letter after letter after letter by the same people, and that is the editor's prerogative, but it causes a problem here in Point Roberts. Oh, also, every district, I believe, is given the opportunity to write a year in review column, except for the fire district.
Wow.
And the fire district pays for ads to be written, and the placement of the ads is sometimes, let's just say, jammed in the back, on the inside, stretched this way and that way because, golly, whatever. So what is the consequences to this? In my opinion, it damages this department's reputation, and that makes me angry. And it should make every taxpayer angry. It damages the community because they are not given accurate information. When people and organizations are not treated fairly and equally by the All Point Bulletin, it implies to me and to many other people that the All Point Bulletin editor and owner, and maybe Meg, I don't know, has an agenda, biases, and gives people preferential treatment, all of which undermines the public trust. And I want people to understand, I want every taxpayer here to understand that this fire district, and I think everybody knows this, is in the very best shape it has ever been in. When I moved here in 2003, we didn't even dream of having a department like this. And I hope that from now on, as my neighbor said to me, can we really believe everything that's written in the All Point Bulletin? No. You need to be skeptical about everything you read in the All Point Bulletin and know that this district is here for every taxpayer, and it's time that the All Point Bulletin become a professional paper and do the right thing by this community.
Very interesting, thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah, it must have been a lot of work.
And I do have all of the data. I have brought it with me in case anybody wants to go over it. But I plan to present that at the next meeting when they can hopefully help me understand some of the situation.
Well, Shannon, I think consistency might pay off. It certainly puts people makes you think. A lot of them already knew what you're saying, but it's good that you brought it out in the open, and thank you for all the work you did.
I appreciate it too. I just don't know how we're gonna get your information out to the community. We always run into this problem. You wanna get something out to the community, you've got the All Points Bulletin or the All Points Bulletin,
Point interface.
and that's about it. Or Point Interface, maybe.
Well, we have our newsletter.
Well, yeah, we have our own letter now that comes out monthly, and I strongly advise that we really keep on doing that. It's very important.
This should be your letter for this month.
Okay.
And I really hate to get into it with the All Points Bulletin, but they deserve it.
Oh, I'm not digging into anything. It's just, I think it's important that what I presented is just black and white. You can't argue with it, you can't make judgments about it, it's just objective data. And all I'm saying is that I hope that this community matters to the editor and owner of the paper, and that things will be more equitable. That's all.
Well, Shannon, on the surface, it might look like scolding, it might look like finger pointing, and maybe in a way it is. On the other hand, we as commissioners and the chief, our main responsibility is here to look after all the taxpayers, every other person besides taxpayers. That's our job here. But the taxpayers foot the bill here. Let's never forget that. That's very important. That's why we're here. We're chosen, we're elected by the taxpayer. And if it takes that, what you're doing, more power to you.
If I could mention one thing about, I am part of the email chain for the year in review that comes out from the All Point Bulletin. We've never done that before. I usually meet with the Taxpayers Association in January, February the following year to overview the district's budget and where we landed. So that's never been something we've needed to do up to this point. But if you want to start doing something like that, my plan is to do a end-of-year report to the commissioners for operational purposes. And I hope to start that this year. But I meet with the Taxpayers Association at least twice a year to review the budget mid-year and at the end of the year after the previous year is closed and answer any questions that they may have. So we do that outreach. It's just if you want something in the paper from this point forward about the district, then that's something that would need to be discussed.
I think that would be a good idea. The other thing is, and I will tell this to Meg next time she's here, is that I've been coming to these meetings now for 3 years, and she comes in late sometimes, and she mails you after the meeting to get an update on what she missed. I was in your office, I think in August, or maybe it was in July, when the phone rang and nobody was there to answer it, so you answered it, and Meg basically asked you for an update on what had happened in the meeting because she didn't want to have to watch the video. And my feeling is that if the All Point Bulletin is going to treat us this way, that she can watch the video or she can come to the meeting. And I think that that's a fair thing to say and ask. And maybe if she watches the whole video or stays for the whole meeting and doesn't dart in and out all the time, that maybe she'll be able to get a better understanding of the things, the important work that this organization is doing for the community. And so I think that from now on, when she asks for an update, you can refer her to the video if she has missed the meeting. And that's, I don't know if I can tell you to do that or not, but I feel that that would be a fair way of dealing. And I don't know why they get special treatment, because it's just not the right thing to do, I don't think. So if they want to treat us fairly, then we can treat them that same way.
Shannon, this might be a longer process than we all think. It might never happen, or maybe Christmas will bring us a nice present that will start to become objective. Anyhow, enough said about this. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Good. Thank you. Thank you all